Here we go. Yeah. It's time to listen up because this show's about to get you right. Settle in cause you be tuning into a Jiu Jitsu life. Getting to the nitty and gritty of what the game's about. What it's really like when you get paid to fight and train for bouts. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it on louder. About to drop some knowledge, yo, it's Drew Dominguez, Shawn Fowler. About to give it to you straight, y'all, no filler. Pulling no punches, really couldn't get no realer. I'm a flow spiller, recognize that no one's illa. Keep it locked right on this episode because it's gonna be killer. Elite technique with the flows to get you hyped. I thought you knew it, Shawn and Drew, the crew of a Jiu Jitsu life.
Good morning, everybody. This is Shawn Fowler. We are hosting a Jiu Jitsu Life. I'm here today with my co-host Drew Dominguez and none other than Shane, the War Rhino Krutchen. How are you today, bro?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, man, there's so many things that we get to talk about right now, and you being a war veteran, man, I got so many angles here. You're a brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu.
Yep.
Under Elias Gallegos. You've been training for quite some time. You bounced around from a few schools.
Yep.
You work with PTSD guys.
Yep.
You work with a lot of combat veterans for MMA programs.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the community work that you're doing.
Man, so I've been blessed with Elias to lead the...
Also a Bellator MMA. You fought MMA for Bellator?
Bellator World Series of Fighting, PFL, Gladiator Challenge.
So also an MMA. Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
You fought recently.
Yeah, just about 6 weeks ago. Elias Gallegos came in and he had the nonprofit kind of set up through Alianza Jiu Jitsu East Lake, and he's like, hey, how about this? You lead the combat veteran program. And I was like, what? Like, it was just one day. It was on a Tuesday, and he goes, Saturday's your first class, bro.
Awesome.
I was like, whoa, okay. So so I lead the nonprofit doing that for military and police officers, which is just an honor in its own right, giving back. And then also I go out and I help with different giving free privates to military and police officers as well. Go down to the military base and help out the instructors down there.
And you also work with Jay in LA too, don't you? Doing some stuff with him?
Oh yeah, with the MVP program, the Emerging Veterans and Players with Jay Glazer and Nate Boyer. I go up there and help out, donate my time with them.
That's awesome. And what exactly do you guys do up there?
So it brings in veterans of all ages, brings them in, gets them active. It's at the you go up there and you just work out, and all the pros come in, and there's baseball players, there's NFL players come in and just work out with these veterans, give them kind of an outlet to do what they want, and that's have the brotherhood again.
Understood. So you actually have PTSD yourself too.
Oh man, I suffer pretty bad from it.
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit.
Can you explain to people? Can you explain to people who might not be familiar with what PTSD is?
Yeah, so it's post-traumatic stress disorder. It's not really a stress disorder. It's post-traumatic stress. So it's any traumatic event that can kind of come up at any time that's caused by a traumatic event in life. So my traumatic event, it can happen with anybody. From sexual trauma to car accidents to anything. Mine personally is from serving overseas, losing my friends and stuff like that. I suffer from really deep depression.
How many? I know this is left field, and
no worries.
You've been through a lot. You know what I'm saying? How many people from your unit were actually killed?
Lost 19 wounded in action and over 19 killed in action and over 144 wounded in action in less than a few months.
And that right there, that's traumatic, because those are your brothers, man. Those are your ride or die guys. And I grew up, obviously in the hood, in the streets, and I watched a lot of people around me die on a daily basis too. And I was in the military, so I understand where you're coming from, all of the above. And it's really often culture shock, because you get people that come from a background like that, or maybe they don't. A lot of guys go to the military, man, from the country, man. They've never seen, they got to shoot some pigs, out in the country or something like that. They've hunted turkey and stuff like that. They've never got to see anything like that. And then you go to something like that, and your whole world turns upside down, man. You're watching guys get blown up by RPGs, and an RPG hits a a truck or a Jeep and a Humvee and it saws it in half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you joined the military, were you expecting to go to war?
So I joined at 16. At 16 years old, I watched the Twin Towers get hit. I was sitting in actually world history class, second period of the day. I was sitting in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I watched it, ran down. I found out how I can graduate high school. Graduated when I was 16, and I left 2 days later. I turned 17, signed the papers, and I left less than a week later. I wanted to go, kind of avenge the Twin Towers and serve my country.
Right. Now, this goes down a dark path for you, so I'm gonna say a few things, okay? And this is really what this show is about, man.
Yeah.
And I, it's. I love the jiu-jitsu aspect of everything, but I like to talk about all the things that people have gone through and the various things that have got them where they're at today, and how jiu-jitsu and MMA has actually changed your life, because I've known you since the very beginning.
True.
I remember you coming into San Diego, and you were stationed up in Oceanside at the time. You were just getting out. You actually had gotten out, and I believe you were on disability. You had disability checks coming in.
Okay.
And what's your percentage of disability, by the way?
I'm 100% right now.
100% disabled. Okay.
When you met me, I was less than 30.
Right. Okay. So whenever I met you, you had gained a tremendous amount of weight.
Yep.
You were a big guy. Extremely depressed. A lot of people don't know this. You actually tried to kill yourself. In 2009, you actually tried to kill yourself.
Yeah.
The PTSD set in. You were in Oceanside, and you woke up in the hospital. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so June 14th, 2009, man, I just kind of, like you said, I wasn't reaching out for help.
Right.
I wasn't allowing people to help me. And, I was kind of on the mats, kind of off the mats, and Pat Spate and Joe Duarte and Casey Ryan were trying to get me back into the gym, and I wasn't listening, and I wasn't reaching out or listening to the brothers. So
This is back in the Unleashed days, right?
Oh,
Unleashed
man,
gym, I believe.
Yeah, we had just transferred to Unleashed from Charlie Kohler's.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
yeah, we're.
I just thought about that
Unleashed
gym. I don't even know where that just came out of.
I know,
Okay.
it's throwback with Wade Ship, everybody. And, I one day I just, Survivor's Guilt really got to me, man. And June 14th, 2009, I tried to kill myself and came to at UCSD Medical, handcuffed to a hospital bed. Yeah,
That was a turning point for you right there.
that was the day I woke up and I said, if basically Pat Spade and Joe Duarte came in and go, what are you doing, dude?
Joe is also a combat veteran, for those
Yep.
that don't know. Joe Duarte, former pro fighter as well, and a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well.
Correct. And they looked at me and they go, what are you doing, dude? We're here. We have the gym. Why aren't you at the gym?
Right.
And, people like yourself had known me that whole transition. There's about a good 4 years before that, 4 or 5 years before that. And, I was so stubborn. And finally I just went to the gym, man. Every single day I was with
Well, I remember you walked in and you stepped on the scale for a tournament, and I looked up at you and I was like, bro, what happened to you?
Yeah.
And you looked down at me, and I'll never forget this. You looked down at me and you go, I finally decided to get my life in order and take my life back.
I was 155.
I was like, holy shit, bro. You went from like 210 to like 155, like overnight.
210's not a big.
No, but you got to understand, man, for a guy that normally walks around at 155 pounds, 60 pounds of weight is a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're used to walking around at 210. You know what I mean? But
That's kinda what I was trying
that's
to
my
get at.
point. Yeah. So but you should be like 185, right? You know what I mean? 190.
Yeah.
But 20 pounds even for you is a lot of weight to lose. You know what I'm saying? And for him, I had watched him yo-yo, and he went from being this before, you know what I'm saying, to gaining so much weight because he was in such a dark place and so depressed. And he spun into a series of drugs, if I remember right.
Correct.
And I remember this like yesterday. We have a mutual friend. His name is the notorious Rick Slayton. Rick was a former Mongol.
Yep.
For a very, very long time, and we won't go deeper into that. But you as well were set to become a Mongol as well.
I was.
And the
full
final
patch.
stage, you had actually full patched in, and they actually pulled your patch at the last second because you said you didn't want to do it.
No, I was a full patch. I got it pulled after the federal raids. My house was raided, and they pulled everybody's patch, and I never took it back. I decided once I was there and once I was arrested by the feds, enough was enough, and that 2 weeks later is when I tried to kill myself.
That's dark.
Yeah, man.
Drew, what do you got?
No, I'm just trying to process all this. I mean, so did you start doing martial arts before you joined the military, or was it something that you picked up after leaving to help better yourself?
When I was a kid, I wrestled and I did karate. Typical Midwest stuff. As a farm boy, and that's all I knew. And I actually had my first pro fight, and Shawn remembers this. I was at a bar, and and that's when I was really bad. I was 260 pounds at the time, and I had my first pro fight at 260 by pure accident in the middle of a bar. They asked me, they go, "Hey, you look like a big dude. You want to fight? I'll give you a bar tab." And I was like, "Free bar tab? Wow. Down." And I won, 3 5-minute rounds. And I met Shawn through this girl that was at this party. I was trying to tell her, I was like, "Yeah, I fight." And she's like, "Oh, my friend knows some fighters," and ends up texting Shawn. That's how Shawn and I became connected. It's a crazy full circle.
So, once you leave the military, you experience a lot of PTSD. You went through a lot of traumatic times in your life. Now, you said you had your brothers Joe and Pat who helped pull you into this. Now,
both amazing guys. Pat is now in Oregon, right? I believe he's in Oregon. Yeah.
Owns
a couple of mailboxes, etc., and he owns a school up there as well.
Yep.
What's kept you on track now?
Oh man, just the right people. So I still train down at 10 Planet, but I really dedicated the last few years out of something. Elias, after my loss to Aaron Pico, Elias came in and I was really depressed, and Elias kind of gave me the full reign to run the Combat Veterans Program a few years ago, and I'll never forgive him for that, because it's helped me change. It's helped better me as a man, and so he's like, "Hey, you need to be down here. You need to be training." He got me back in the gi a lot, and I love it. Being in the gi it's kind of like surfing. You find the perfect wave, and to me, wearing the gi is a perfect wave. I love no gi, but I mean the gi is it's my sanctuary. So that's what got me back to training so much.
You have a lot of guys. You have a lot of positive guys in your life. Shawn, Elias, you mentioned Joe. Do you feel obligated to do this, not just for yourself, but for everybody that's trying to help you?
That's funny. You're not the first person to ask that. I do feel obligated in a way because of how much they've given back to me and how much they've supported me. Through the darkest of the darkest times. I mean, I'll be honest. I've been a shithead in my life. I've pretty much shit on everybody that ever cared about me. But I've also, then again, I look at people like Shawn and I look at people like Joe. These guys have never given up on me, and it's like if they don't give up on me, I can't give up on them. So I keep pushing.
Well, and the truth of the matter is that after you woke up in that hospital bed, you decided to be a warrior, not a victim, right?
Correct.
And at that moment, whenever you decided to be a warrior and no longer a victim, everything changed for you overnight. And you began to understand the process. Yep. You went to therapy. You still continue to go to therapy. Yep. You still continue to meet with groups. And I remember all of these different things, which then makes you a real advocate, right? Yep. To be able to advocate for others. Because if you don't understand your own journey and process, you can't explain it and teach somebody else. And that's what so many people don't understand, is that people, today's society is really difficult because so many people want self-vindication, right? They want self-vindication. They want all these things that come with it, but they don't have the accolades to back up what it is that they want the self-vindication for. You know what I mean? They want to be a victim, but they're not warriors. There's a difference, right? And the truth of the matter is that if you're not willing to walk through the storm to understand what's really happening to you and who you are, you cannot advocate for somebody else. You can't.
Correct.
Especially whenever it comes to mental health, right? It's a totally different ballgame. The people that go through this and dedicate their lives to understanding what it is that happened to them and how they process trauma and so on and so forth, they have to educate themselves. They have to educate themselves and be educated by other people that have done the exact same thing that they're doing, right? And then turn around and advocate for others, because it's now their job. It's just like getting a black belt, right? whenever you get that black belt, or in your case, it's a brown belt at this point, okay? Whenever you get that black belt, it's now our job to pass something on to the next generation. You know what I'm saying? And most importantly, passing that on to the next generation is super important because we give back, you know what I mean? And that's their job, you know what I mean? If they were able to save, like, you know, I'm very involved with Mission 22 as well, and the WD5 Foundation, and a couple of other things too. You know, I believe the Wounded Warrior Project is still here in San Diego too, isn't it? With
very limited capability.
What was the guy's name that used to run that? The guy out of Undisputed. Me and you used to talk. We just talked about him not too long ago. He's a Muay Thai guy.
Don't know.
Oh man, I can see his face right now too. I just can't think of it.
Yeah, it's all corporate people now that run.
Yeah, I think, but he had something like to that effect where it was like a Wounded Warrior, like an Combats in Action, you know.
Todd Vance.
Todd Vance. There you go. That's him. Yes, Todd. Yes. So Todd runs another program kind of like that too. It's like POW. Yeah, it's the POW program.
Undisputed as well.
And so, you know, there's a lot of avenues here for people, and they just have to use the resources or reach out and actually get the resources. If you're not willing to reach out and get the resources, people can't help you.
Correct.
You know?
Be vulnerable and be okay with being vulnerable to get the help.
100%. It's not a judgment.
Part for most people to do is accept that there's something going on and reach out for help.
No, 100%.
A lot of people do, even as adults or as being a father, sometimes you just don't want to accept the fact that you have a child as well.
Yeah, I do.
It's kind of hard to accept the fact and say, well, yeah, my kid's probably not doing the right thing right now. You don't really want to accept that. So until you're able to accept it and understand, you're never going to be able to move forward.
Yeah, you know, and the one thing is a lot of people too, they're scared of failure, you know, in life. In anything you do, jiu-jitsu to fighting to life, they're scared to fail. You have to be okay with failing. I've failed a million times. I've probably succeeded 100,000. So it's like, you know, every million fails is a success. So I'm like, I'm okay with that. But it took me years to get to that. I think 2009 kind of changed the pinnacle, was my pinnacle of life, to where it changed me to go.
It was the natural transition.
100%. It was needed, you know. It was needed to go from dark to positive.
Well, you have to hit rock bottom, right? Most people have to hit rock bottom before you can actually head another direction.
Correct.
It's just part of the game.
Well, I mean, there is no such thing as rock bottom. It's just a new foundation to go up. So,
Agreed.
You know.
Okay. You also run your own business as well.
I do. I'm a general contractor by trade. My fiance and myself run it, so it's awesome.
How do you make time for everything? I mean, you have your hands in a lot of different things. How do you make time for business, to train, and to help with all the organizations that you're a part of?
That's a good thing about being the boss. No.
Flexibility.
No. You know, I between my fiance and myself and, you know, my crew, we run a pretty tight ship. We keep very busy and really push hard and get a lot of jobs done in tight schedules. But at the same time, I always make time for training, because without training, I can't stay clear-minded. And that's not just giving back. I have to train to keep my mind straight. That's something I advocate for very much so.
So, like you said, you grew up karate, wrestling. It turned into jiu-jitsu. How did you get into MMA and Bellator?
So the MMA thing was the pure accident in the
Damn
bar.
Pat and Joe.
Yeah.
Oh,
damn them. Well, you know, it was funny. So I came out to California, and I was, gosh darn, I was 1-2 when I got to California. I had lost to Gerald Mershart, and I fought him when he was 16, the 185er from the UFC. I think he's ranked number 5 in the world right now. I lost to him when he was 16, and then I lost to another guy. But I came out to California, and I remember walking into the gym, and Wade Shipp was sitting there, and Joe was sitting at the front desk, and I was like, yeah, I'm a pro fighter. And Joe looks at me, and he goes, oh yeah? And they pull up Sherdog real quick. And that's the first thing Joe Duarte did, is pulled up Sherdog. And he pulls me up.
Or MMA.com.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't
know. Yeah, MMA.com. Woo, boy, that's a throwback. And he pulls it up, and he's like, oh yeah, you're a heavyweight? And I was like, yeah, looks good. And he goes, get in there and fight. With Wade Shipp. That was my first sparring experience in California, and it wasn't pleasant.
How did that go? We all know weight around here.
Yeah.
Kick your face off?
Yeah, I don't think I had legs, face, anything. Wade and I are really close now. You know, obviously all under the same lineage.
It's called respect, man. Whenever you can take a beating from somebody and still smile and shake their hand, you know that you guys are willing to, to share that mutual respect. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and I kept coming back. So, Joe and Pat, they believed in me. Pat trained with me every single day for almost...
Pat's a phenomenal black belt. A lot of people don't know that, but he is a phenomenal black belt. He really
tricky, just,
old school too, gritty, grimy. I mean, but very, very much a phenomenal black belt. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves. A lot of people don't know who he is, but I'll tell you, he is a very legitimate black belt.
Yeah, he's the one who basically taught me to, embrace the suck. And I did, in jiu-jitsu. And, you guys talk about it. I've heard on different podcasts, jiu-jitsu is not for everybody. And I totally believe that. And especially when you train with some of the old school guys. I mean, that's the lineage I came up in, is just getting beat up every day. And so, getting put unconscious, things breaking and being told, oh, well, I don't know why you're not at training. Oh, your hand's only broke. That's it. So I kept coming back, and
and that mentality is different here because everybody believes in that. They truly are firm believers here whenever it comes to that type of life. If you're injured, it doesn't matter, man. You need to be here. Like, there's no getting away with that. There's no getting around it. I recently heard my partner actually yell at somebody on the mat because they were complaining about they were injured and so on and so forth. He goes, bro, don't talk to me about being injured, man. I'm 45 years old and I'm injured every day. Everything hurts. You either come in here and you train or get off my mat. Point blank. And the reality of it is that he's right. I feel the same way. We share the same thought process, whenever it comes to that type of stuff. So I totally get it.
And I've had my ups and downs, with everything, but at the same time I keep coming back, and that's kind of what made my name. Is I wouldn't stop coming, so they started taking belief in me, and I started training with the right people, and here I am.
How did the nickname come about?
It was funny. So, I started Ranger Up sponsored me for years, and one of the things was...
Are they still around?
They are still around. Nick Palomizzo and all those guys are still around. The whole partnership broke up, but there
was Ranger Up, and then there was Forged.
Then there was Forged.
Forged. That was old school, original Charlie Cole, and iFight. iFight was another one.
And Ranger Up is still around, and they took it over, and one day they were talking to me, and this guy's like, the War Rhino, and I was like, oh shit, that's catchy, man. I was like, what's up? And I just kind of, I took it and ran with it, and I mean, it's me.
So you've stacked up a good fight, record here at 12-5. How old are you now?
34.
How much longer do you plan on fighting?
As long as my body holds up. I don't know how long that's going to be. It's getting harder and harder to lose weight. And to do a camp is getting harder. It's not getting easier by any means. I used to lose so much weight. I think I've destroyed my body a lot.
It starts to mess with your actual. Oh God, I can't think of what it's called, but
just everything.
It really just starts to eat your insides up, and it becomes harder and harder and harder to process to lose weight, especially whenever guys are losing it at rapid capacities instead of natural.
And my record shows the 12-5, and I have other fights that were taken off because they weren't sanctioned in Wisconsin. Right. So it is what it is.
That's old school MMA.
Yeah, fighting in a square. I fought in a square cage for Dan Severin. That's not on there. A square cage in the middle of Ohio. But, I throw it back, and, my fiance is asking me the same thing, how much longer I think my body's going to hold up. I don't know. I hope long enough for me to, still keep loving my dream, which I do. And as long as I can keep giving back, I keep doing it.
How do you think your life has changed now at this point? 10 years removed from building a new foundation, 10 years of change, 10 years of now understanding and educating yourself on your own personal situations, 10 years removed from the darkness of dark, right?
Yeah.
How are your days now?
Well, you remember the, I've heard you guys both speak of it. You remember the old spazzy Shane?
Oh, yeah,
for sure. Even Elias he still goes, well, first time I met Krutch, all he goes is, that's my jiu-jitsu. And Elias goes, that's not effing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's Elias.
He's like, that's not effing jiu-jitsu.
That's how we do jiu-jitsu around here.
Yeah. But, I think I'm a lot more calm now. I don't fly off the handle. And I mean, even you remember the 2005 version of me. I was, I'd fly off the handle and punch you in the mouth if you even looked at me crooked, just because you looked at me crooked.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't safe. I landed in jail a bunch. I had a lot of criminal issues. I'm now a father. I'm a dedicated, going to be a husband here in a few weeks. And my life is, I own.
How does your daughter now?
She's 5.
Holy moly, that one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, my son's 14. He'll be 15 at the end of the year. I got, I own 2 houses, a business, cars, motorcycle. I'm like, dude, you tell me 10 years ago I was going to have all this. I'd be like, yeah, right. And a business owner.
Yeah, people don't realize, how much time and dedication that actually takes, and to come out of the darkest areas in your mind and actually be a success story, and be able to advocate for others, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to be able to do that.
It's a blessing to be able to give inspiration to people that may not have the inspiration today.
I agree.
Shawn also mentioned there's a story, it's called Surviving Self.
Yep.
Shane Krutchen story.
Yep.
How did that come about?
So I fought at Madison Square Garden 2.5 years ago on New Year's Eve. I fought Jeremy Mahone, and it was only the second sanctioned fight at Madison Square Garden for MMA. It was World Series of Fighting. It was their last ever show, WSOF 35, I believe. And I won. A jiu-jitsu black belt. He had me in some really dangerous positions. I blew out my knee in that fight, and after I won, I was so happy that I won. And Boogeyman Richie Martinez was in my corner at the time, and we walk over to the side, and this guy's standing there, and he goes, "Hey, can you talk to me?" And so I started speaking with him. His name's Joe. He's the president of the U.S. Boxing Association. He actually wrote the article, and
wow.
We talked probably for about.
Is that the same article that's actually on Sheerdog and everywhere?
That is the Sheerdog article, and we talked for probably about a good week after my fight, and that article came out, and man, that article is deep. I've never seen that good of an article written, and it kind of blew my mind.
Well, it highlights the trials and tribulations of the things that you've went through. You know what I mean? To go from the darkest place to be where you're at today, it's truly about adversity, and perseveration, perseverance. Perseverance is, a lot of people don't truly definitively understand what perseverance is, but you're a living proof of perseverance and how to overcome and adapt to the things that are going on around you. And, you came from the darkest places to be where you're at right now, and that says a lot about your character and the wanting to fight. If you're not willing to fight, like I said, you're 2 things in this world: you're either a victim or a warrior. That's it. There's no other way around it, and that's where you got to draw the line.
What's next for you? Where do you see yourself in the next 2-3 years? Not so much with your professional career, with your fighting, or just with just life in general.
I hope within the next 2 or 3 years I'm a black belt, and I'm able to be giving my knowledge, continually giving my knowledge away.
But I think you're already doing that in a very progressive and positive way. You're helping with these veterans, these PTSD veterans, and then also with the MVP program with Jay Glazer and all those guys. So I think you're already, whether you realize it or not, in a capacity, you're doing that already in a way that most people will never understand or be a part of.
And I agree with you, and I think just the caveat of everything of almost 14 years of training and whatnot is having that extra dignitation of a black belt, and hopefully I'm honored enough to have that, and I earn it. And be able to keep giving back with that little extra caveat. And I think it just gives you more validity when you walk around in the community and you're saying, here's this knowledge from me, and people go, oh. At the same time, I keep trying to convince my girl that it's okay for me to run for Congress. I literally, man, I've done pretty much everything in San Diego that I could possibly probably do. I think running for an office would be a rad idea, but I don't know with a criminal background and my history.
Well, hey, Jesse Ventura was able to do it.
Yeah, he was.
You know what I mean? He's a former Mongol. You know what I mean? And he actually...
Why not make two of us?
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think that the things have changed dynamically whenever you look at situations like that. And why I say that is because whenever I was a kid, you could have gotten in trouble and still came out on the other side and been something amazing, right? Nowadays, I think that dynamically that has changed so much because society says that if you've been in trouble and so on and so forth, you cannot progressively become this better person. They want to keep you in this categorized, box, basically, that once a fuck up, you're always a fuck up. You know what I mean? And that's not true. Yeah. You know what I mean? People outgrow that. People change. People go to jail. They do really rehabilitate. You know, they come out. They don't want to go back. You know, it's a lot of times the institutionalized market that actually keeps you situationally stuck in that realm and that rut that doesn't allow you to grow and become better.
Yeah, you know, and that's
jobs won't hire you because you got a strike. Well, shit, man, I didn't want to have a strike. It just, you know, what about for the people that were in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Yeah,
you know, and that happens. You know, I know somebody I went to school with. You know, man, he was a schoolboy, man. He wasn't a gang member. His cousins were gang members. He was a schoolboy. He was a baseball player, man. He was a good kid. He was in the car whenever his cousins shot somebody. So he's got direct association. Yep. He's associated to first-degree murder, and he did like 8 years, man. And he wasn't that kind of a kid, man. And it's sad because you have situations like that where people are just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now this dude's got a strike on his name. You know what I mean? And I know that he's doing well for himself now, but man, coming out of that, not everybody looks at it like that. You know, they go, oh man, you know what, dude, you have a strike, you this, you're that. You know what I mean? You're always going to be a career criminal. And
well, that's what always shocks people about me, Shawn. Sorry to interrupt real quick. Is, you know, I have felonies. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, they don't know that you had that. I
had that dark history.
Yeah, you were part of that raid and all the things that went along with it.
And they freak out when they find that out, and they're like, well, how do you have all this? I'm like, man, you know, because I don't take no for an answer. I keep pushing forward.
You know, I
mean, people grow, people change.
Yes.
And Joe and I have this talk a lot. I absolutely love Rick Slayton.
Yeah.
And Rick Slayton, after years and years of doing okay for himself, he fell victim to it all again, and he ended up back in jail. And not because, you know, I'm not going to say he's not a warrior, because Rick is a warrior.
100%.
Believe that, 150%. But if you're going to be a criminal, be the best damn criminal that you could be. You know what I mean? If you're going to be a good guy on the opposite side, be the best damn guy you could be on that side.
Yep.
You know, choose one or the other and run with that shit. Own it. You know what I'm saying? And Rick had a lot of problems trying to acclimate and adjust to the real world, even years after he was out. And it was really, really difficult for him because he wanted to get a real job and he just wanted to work. And because he had those strikes, nobody would hire him.
Yeah, I
remember.
You know, and he, towards the end, whenever he finally got locked up this last time, and you know, he was struggling. He was struggling hard. You know, and he had hit a very dark place again. You know, and he didn't have the answers. He just wanted somebody to give him a job. That's all he was asking for.
Yeah.
He wanted somebody to believe in him and give him a job.
Yep.
But that's once again society's structure.
Yeah.
You know, how we're doing with time?
We got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Well, let's. I want to make sure we give you enough time to talk about every organization you represent and where people can find you. That way we can put the word out. If anybody needs help, anybody needs someone to talk to, anybody needs some advice, you know, if you're willing to talk to people.
Yeah, you have the resources, you know what I mean? And that's the single most important thing. A lot of people don't know that.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, you know, first and foremost, hit me up on Instagram, War_Rhino. You know, if you check out War Rhino, just send me a message. I answer to every single person that writes me, even if it goes to that weird little
spam box.
Yeah, the spam box. I still answer back to people. Twitter is Shane S Krutchen MMA. guys' Twitter, Shane Krutchen MMA on the Facebook. You know, I answer every single piece of mail. I'm always diligent on that. I give advice. I'll answer my phone. My phone number is all over online. You can't miss it. It's kind of one of those things. As far as organizations, merging veterans and players is big for me. That's out of LA. There's 6 locations across the United States: Vegas, Atlanta, Chicago, San Diego. You know, it's get in there if you're a veteran, please. If you're in the San Diego area, you're a police officer, military veteran, anything like that, come down to Alliance Eastlake. I run a nonprofit on Saturdays. Also, if you're a veteran suffering from PTSD, come on down. I got some great things for you. I can get you some free training, and also privates are free on me. You know, and anything dealing with veterans, I like to get my nose in. I'm working on something really big right now. Hopefully, I'll have more information on that soon. But it deals with going into outer space. So for this new project that I'm working on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but you know, and you know, just remember, freedom is never free. You know, somebody paid for it, and that's why we're here enjoying the world that we are today.
Appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
I really appreciate your time as well. So with that and all of our episodes, we'll wrap this up. You can check us out at FIVE365.com. And up and coming on the schedule, we have Texas, following it up with San Diego, then we hit Chicago and Colorado, and then we're doing ADCC World. So once again, for all that news, media, anything, check us out at FIVEGrappling.com. You guys got anything else?
That's it.
Man, thank you guys for your time. It's Sunday and we're out of here. Have a great day, guys.
Right.